want to talk about the law of attraction. It's something that a lot of people run into, especially in the New Age community, or if you're looking into spirituality or business. Often it's like reading material if you're in like an MLM, and they'll have you read Think and Grow Rich. But anyways, a lot of other people see it through the documentary The Secret, which is like about quantum mechanics and stuff. And it's more or less a process of asking the universe. It's like the universe says, your wish is my command, and it's conspiring to have your best interests at mind. And so you just ask the universe, and you visualize to make it happen, picture it in your mind, and believe that it's possible. And then whenever the opportunity comes up, you need to receive that by, I guess, either taking action or accepting it into your life. I know a lot of people think of it in terms of like the law of averages, that people often give a lot of money they make back. It's like returning to the mean. If you have like in trading on a chart, you have like a moving average. If it's above, it kind of goes back to the average. If it's below, it kind of goes back to the average. And so things average out. It's like the Hermetic principle, law of rhythm type thing. And so I guess in terms of like The Secret, I always thought of the receiving part as kind of like feeling worthy to keep what you make whenever you make it. Like feeling worthy to not give it back to the universe because you don't feel worthy of that like level of success or something like that. And you'll see a lot of people that propel to big heights of success often fall back down. It's more or less a law of like the universe. It's like the law of gravity, but applied to like literally everything that's not even physical. It's like the law of averages or the law of rhythm, if you think about it in the terms of the 7 Hermetic principles. But anyways, if you think about it in terms of The Secret, it kind of gets this corny rap where you never take action towards anything. You're more or less just like praying that it happens and hoping that the universe does include you in its like little mystery box of prizes. It's like a gacha machine of like, I will ask the universe and hopefully I get like the shiny card or something like that. I always thought it was a little bit ridiculous. But if you break it down in terms of the way that like the book, like the source material, Think and Grow Rich, actually puts it, what it's saying is that action, in order to take the action, right, to do the things that you need to do, you have to move through faith. And that in order to have something to move towards, it needs to be contained in the mind first. That things that you do are at first thoughts. They're thoughts at first. And that's meaningful in the sense that you need to put more importance on any thought that comes to your mind, because at any moment you're kind of tasked with taking action. And if actions come through thoughts, then the way you are thinking determines your actions second by second. And so it kind of becomes an important task of monitoring your thoughts, monitoring the things that you consume that comprise your thoughts. You think of like action as kind of like the actualization of just like an immediate cross section of your thoughts at that moment. And you need to fill your head with enough good things so that at any given moment, that cross section of your thoughts becomes actualized into an action, and you move through faith because you need to believe that you can do it, and you need to believe that it's worth being done. And that to me is the more sophisticated version that's not represented well at all in the documentary. It's represented much better in the book, but people also don't like these books. It's like, I think the book is mostly in the context of being mentored by Andrew Carnegie. And you could say, okay, this guy was never mentored by Andrew Carnegie. It's a fake story. Kind of like if you look into the other gurus, like there's finance gurus like Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the Rich Dad doesn't exist. It's just like a concept. It's a method of storytelling, right? And if I were to tie it back to like what I'm doing on the channel here, it's like, if I were to make a good video, I would have to do good storytelling. I think that's what Mr. Beast always talks about. He's the biggest YouTuber, and he talks about every single video should be a story. Whereas I'm just talking to you, telling you concepts. It's kind of like a talking head video. But if I wanted to make it into a story, I would think about how it relates to my life, right? Make the whole video about that story. And I guess one kind of way to do that on the fly, I guess, it's like the way I view the law of attraction is that for me, in my experience, I've always thought of everything in terms of like, you just do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. And that for me has always just been like banging my head against the wall, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And so on this channel, it's more or less a process for me of figuring out what's engaging or figuring out what makes people click and all the titles and stuff. Cause it's really competitive out there. There's not just like, there's not nobody on YouTube anymore. I'm not like the first guy to make a video. There's so many people out there that I'm competing with that I have to do it well. And I have to figure out how to do well. I don't really know how to do that. So for me, it's just posting a bunch of videos, seeing what my stats are. And now I at least have a baseline. So I know 3% of people are gonna click on my videos. It's really low. There's nowhere to go but up from here, I guess. 10% of people watch all the way to the end. Also extremely low. And I got a problem in my hands. If I don't fix that, then my channel's not viable. But that's how everything has always been for me. I've always had to basically bang my head against the wall, do something wrong, do it wrong again, do it wrong again, do it wrong again, and eventually get one thing right. And it's like only one thing. And maybe at the end of the day, I'll get enough things wrong that I know what not to do, and I get enough things right that I know what to do in these certain cases. Like this week, it might be what not to do with the thumbnails, and I fix the thumbnails. And as soon as I get predictable results, it's like now I know I can predictably get shitty results. Great, at least it's predictable. But then I change things, figure out one thing to do right through the process. And I guess for me, the only way that the law of attraction applies to that way of thinking is that it's more or less the fuel that supplies the faith that the action moves through when I'm saying, oh, this is worth doing. When I'm saying, oh, the end goal is worth it and it's worth trying. And so I get basically motivation through faith that the process is going to work out because the end goal is worth it. And that to me is the real law of attraction. It's acknowledgement that action moves through faith and that thoughts become things, but tempered by the realism that right action is only discovered through action and more action and more action. But you're not going to take that. You're not going to bang your head against the wall if you don't have faith in the process and faith in the end goal. That to me is the real law of attraction. That's more or less almost tempered by the scientific method, because if you think about it, just getting a bunch of stuff wrong until you get it right, that's kind of a process of elimination. But if you think about it, it's kind of the scientific method, because you're just trying to hypothesize a set of actions that will lead to positive results, and you just do it and do it and do it until you can get predictably positive results that you can replicate because you've applied the scientific method. So that to me is the real law of attraction, like actually how to do anything that you want to do, right? It's not like wishing that it's going to work out. It's using the fact that you want it to work out and your faith in some sort of process. But what I'm telling you is that the only process that people should have faith in is banging your head against the wall until the scientific method reveals to you, right, that something's gonna work because you find something predictable in that. That to me is the carrot on the stick that gets people all the way. It's just finding one thing that works, building off of that, and using the scientific method to carve out right action that gets predictably good results. Optimization, scientific method. That to me is it. So it's not a process of visualizing and asking and believing and receiving. Yeah, all of those things I think are processes that contribute to when you hypothesize about the set of actions that may or may not work, but they aren't more than that. They aren't like the method that you receive everything. The method that you receive everything isn't just by happenstance. You have to make it happen. So that's my moral of the story, is that doing it is the only way to get it done. And that part of doing it is doing it wrong, and then doing it wrong again, and doing it wrong again, and banging your head against the wall until you find one thing that works, and then you keep doing that whole process until you find many things that work, and then you put it all together, and then you finally done something. And that is how you get shit done.